Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Top Pod, the OHmazing Podcast. My name is Michael Riley with OHmazing.com. I'm joined with my co-host.
I am JD with LFG Media Group. What's going on?
Yeah, man, another day, another dollar. We are excited to be here. This podcast is all about building revenue, right? So we're excited to bring you here weekly. We're going to be talking about different topics when it comes to revenue. So we're just getting started. This is the second season of the original podcast. So all of our listeners, we want to welcome you back. If you're new listening, please hit that like, subscribe button. Hit all the links below. You're going to want to listen to with us on this adventure that we go on. And
It's an adventure.
Right. So, a little bit of recap. Our first episode, we introduced a little bit about ourselves. And then, the second one was, hey, if we're going to a conference, right?
Yep.
LeadsCon out in Vegas, how can you make the most of it? And
That one keeps paying dividends. That conference.
I know.
It's still paying dividends today.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And
That was just one.
Yeah. So, again, if you everybody has some level of industry style conferences that you always get invited to, or at least I do, from an IT perspective. And it was very enlightening to go outside of one that was within my own ecosystem, so to speak, like not something that I would normally be invited to, unless I was there for a reason. Right.
Turned you into a marketer, brought you over to the dark side.
Welcome. The dark side. I mean, it's always, even before I opened up my own company, I remember looking at the marketing guys and being like, man, those guys go home at 5 p.m. every day.
That's not true.
And well, I mean, I'm just like, and I'm
work
over
harder than you tech squeeze.
Well, all right. Well, I'm patching servers at 3 a.m.
You're not patching any servers.
Yeah, well, that's not anymore. Well, we do. But by the way, if you join us, we will patch your stuff, right? But I don't specifically do it anymore.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, man. So we're partners now, right?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. How's that? We should definitely have a episode on that, right?
I think it's a good episode to talk about.
Right.
A good topic to talk about because, I mean, we've avoided being partners. I mean, we're best friends.
Right.
You were best man at my wedding.
Right.
We were roommates. And
best friend's very loose here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people think about best friend and it's like this person in their life that's like solid, that you could always rely on. And in most cases, that's an accurate example.
Okay.
In our case,
where are you going with this?
We're slightly above like
I mean, I don't know, man.
Situational greeting,
I mean, I don't know about that. I feel like we're no,
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. We are very.
I mean, I don't like you, but we're
factually
friends.
correct.
Yeah.
I'm not a likable guy.
No, you're really not. You're really not. But I like you. You're all right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But in any case, we're talking about pre-recording. It's what should we talk about in regards to revenue and why we decided to partner, right? And I think this is a very valid topic because I don't know about you, and I know a little bit about you, but like I know with me, I've partnered with individuals or it didn't work out for one reason or another.
Yep.
And I think that there is certain times where you should absolutely partner, and then there's certain times where you should absolutely not partner. And then typically, what does a partnership actually look like from a business, organization, money standpoint? So that's to me and all about generating revenue. Like from our aspect, it was and a good partner to me. I'll start with like why we started partnering together was because it was an endeavor that neither one of us could facilitate on our own.
Yeah, I mean, it was the marrying of two services, really.
Right.
I mean, especially in the digital marketing space, developers and stuff like all the stuff that you do is become more and more important, especially with the emergence of AI. And it's huge. Like I never realized how much I needed somebody that did your services until I like really got into it.
Right.
And it was like, I remember one day, what did you say to me? I forget what it was, but I was just like getting started, and I'm like, I don't know how to like offer services for free to you because I don't know what to get from you, and you were like, who doesn't need a developer? You were like so offended.
You
remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I think I offended him pretty bad.
Well, it was definitely, I remember that time. And also remember, and it's kind of like a frustrating part from my lack of sales, right? Or my lack of sales ability. Cause I would say that like one of my biggest challenges or shortcomings as an owner, cause like as an owner, I would say, look at yourself first. Like what is your strong suit and what are you weak at?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And one of my challenges that I have, and if you ever get on a meeting with me and we start talking about anything technical, I'm not, well, I
You're
do
super smart, but you go down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And, like, you know what you're talking about, but like, you're just too technical for most people.
And I have
you get lost in the sauce.
Exactly.
It's not taking a shot at you.
No.
But that's every tech, like almost that's almost every tech person I've ever spoken to, because I don't understand the language. So it's kind of like me trying to have a conversation with someone who's speaking Spanish. Just like, no clue what's going on.
Right. And I do a poor job, and I get frustrated on my end because I'm like, God, why are you not seeing this? Like, this is so glaringly obvious to me.
Yeah.
And like, that was like the crux of it, is like, it's at that point it was probably 2022, 2023, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Like, who
doesn't need a developer?
Who doesn't need a software developer? I mean, you could be a farm and still need a developer. Like,
I was so one-dimensional then, though. I'm a PPC guy, and like, I'm just gonna like build PPC accounts for everybody, and like, I was just so like focused on that. And then as the business has grown, it's like, wait a minute, like, there's so much more to marketing than just PPC.
Right. Right.
And and now that we've gotten into amazing revenue and all the whole technical challenge and the architecture that everything that you built out with amazing revenue, I mean, it's freaking awesome. It's like genius.
Appreciate it.
I mean, it was, as you've been building stuff, I'm just like, oh yeah. That's why I need a developer.
Right.
Because like, you built that, now I can go sell it and I can market it.
Right. Right.
And we can use it for our own businesses, which has been very successful as well.
Exactly. So, let's talk about that actually. Where in your audit, your self-assessment, like so you said your shortcomings is, being one-dimensional or understanding like the data part of it, but like, where are your strengths at?
My strengths are at crafting marketing messages, that are geared towards converting. And when I say converting, I don't mean necessarily sales. I mean like getting people interested in reaching out and like having a conversation with us. I understand what it takes to get in front of people, and I understand how to do that, and I understand, I feel like I understand, the best way to get messaging through to most people.
I would say that's one of the most, as an IT vendor, like that's one of the most, and this is not even me as a whole, it's one of the most impactful things that a business can have is the offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why somebody should spend any amount of time with you.
Yep. And as long as you just make it like it's, or not to go down that whole rabbit hole right now, but it's just about, we're busy.
Right.
Business owners are busy.
Right.
Executives are busy.
Right.
So it's like you have to have and this is on the B2B side, like you have to have an incredible reason for them to take a meeting with you. I mean, I've gotten to that point where we have to be picky and choosy. I mean, we're so freaking busy now that if we took every meeting that was brought to us, that's all we would do is be in meetings.
Yeah. You know what? This brings up a good point. And tell me in your own words, like we have LFG Media Group, we have Amazing Tech, right? And we've been talking about amazing revenue. What is amazing revenue? How is it? And we're both partners in it, and this is why we're doing a podcast. Why we're talking about it. I mean, it's a pretty bold statement saying amazing revenue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, these guys must make some money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, amazing revenue was really born out of necessity.
Right.
It was never supposed to really be something that we were doing.
Right.
And I think it's a good. Really, it's a way to market to other businesses.
Right.
Every business needs to grow their revenue.
Right.
And to grow your revenue, you have to invest in some sort of marketing strategy, and you can do that, on an inbound strategy, like PPC, SEO, Google business profiles, great.
Which is a traditional LFG. That's
Yeah,
LFG's
that's
bread
our
and butter.
That's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
Yep, is doing that. Really, B2C is our bread and butter.
Okay.
And then, Amazing Revenue, it helps companies like LFG, like Amazing Tech, like any other company out there that is like, hey, we need to grow our sales, but we don't know how to do it.
Right.
These are the types of clients we want, but we just don't know how to get in front of them.
Right.
So that's what Amazing Revenue does. It says, hey, Mr. Customer, your business does this. Your business needs these types of clients. These are the types of companies we're going to pull data on. We're going to find the decision makers in those companies, and we're going to market to them. We're going to take data super cold, and we're going to turn it into gold for you. We're going to spin it into gold, and we're going to get in front of them through email marketing, LinkedIn, SMS, cold calling.
Yes.
We're going to get your brand out there. Whether it's a branding campaign or a sales campaign, we can do that for you.
Right.
That's Amazing Revenue.
Yeah, and that's I love that because that's a the core of I like the term prospecting because people are like, what is prospecting? Like, what is prospect? What is a prospect? But like literally, if we go back to the Alaskan Gold Rush or whatever, what are the boys doing, right? Or the gals or whatever what are they doing,
They're dudes.
right?
Pretty sure they're dudes.
You know what?
Whatever.
Let's not do this, man. Let's not do this. This is a family-friendly podcast that does not get into this. All right. So, but you have someone selling pickaxes, right? And they're like, hey, this is a pickaxe, and like the way this pickaxe works is if you just go up there and you swing it because like you gotta go find it, right? But you put in effort, and eventually you stumble across something that's worth
Yeah.
a lot of money, right?
Yep.
And most SaaS-based, and when I say SaaS, by the way, software as a service, so anything that's a cloud-based software company that provides some level of service, be it a Salesforce, be it a
Call tracking metrics,
HubSpot.
Yep.
Almost all of these large companies are SaaS companies now.
Yeah.
And all of them that do B2B, they have what is called the BDR or the business development representative or a sales development representative, whatever the title is.
Right.
But they are leaning on the same thing that they are getting out there and they're talking to decision makers and letting them know what's going on.
Yeah. It's huge. It's totally necessary. I mean, if you're looking to grow as a business, it absolutely should be part of your strategy. We use it at LFG. We use it at your company.
Right.
And it's super successful.
Right. Because if your product's awesome, you're doing them and you can offer them value.
Yeah.
Then you're doing them a service by jumping in front of them and saying, "Hey, we can help you here."
Yeah, and most of the time businesses are receptive to that. I mean, they're especially it's a timing thing.
Right.
Like if you call them one day and they may not be interested on that day, but they don't have enough pain at that point.
Right.
Or you hit them with an email a couple weeks later, or an SMS a month later, or LinkedIn video. You're just getting your name out there.
Right.
And the more your name's out there, like that, and then they actually need something. They're like, oh yeah, like Amazing Revenue, or LFG or Amazing Tech, like. I've seen them a million times. Like
right.
They're somebody.
Right. Right. And there's some people may or may not be listening. In regards to it, thinking to themselves, when does it not? That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Where do you see people are successful with it, and what separates? Like, because if it didn't work, then why are not even Amazing? This is not even plugging us because I know we do a good job. But like, why do people do it?
Well, think about it. I mean, anybody that has email,
right?
Like, why do you have so many emails like that? You get marketed by so many emails. Why do you get so many? Because it works. The data's there. Companies know it. It's super cheap to do it, relatively cheap compared to other channels.
Right.
And it works. I mean, I'm a sucker for email marketing.
Right.
Like, I won't just go onto a website generally and buy like a new shirt.
Okay.
Or something.
Yeah.
I'll get an email. It's or especially hats. I'm a hat junkie.
Okay.
So I'll get an email and new hat released. I'm like, oh my god, I absolutely have to have that.
A hat guy with hair like that, bro? My kids are asking me, Daddy, why don't you have any hair?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's a vibe, dude.
All right, Goop. So listen, no, I agree with you. It's all about to me, marketing, it all works, right? But marketing is only one part of the solution, right? So like revenue, like if we left it up to that, revenue would just be revenue. Or I mean, revenue is more than just marketing. It's saying, hey, dollars coming into the business. Doesn't mean it's profitable, but I mean, it's dollars coming into the business, right?
Yep.
So there's a flip side to it. So like not only that, if I'm generating all these calls, right, I need some sort of process or some sort of help to get through it and to make the most out of that, right? And that's the sales side of it, and that's,
That's the hard part.
yeah,
Harder part.
harder part.
Yeah, especially for businesses. It's. I mean, even like the cold call aspect.
Right.
Like we've tested offshore, nearshore, onshore,
Right.
everywhere.
Right.
And we have the data on it. We know what works good and what doesn't.
Right.
And even just setting appointments is an art, let alone selling.
Right, right. Well, I mean, from an inbound marketer perspective, I think we talked about this on the first episode, but like, you will work within industries, right?
What's that?
You work within industries, like
Yeah.
yes. So you niche down in specific industries. So
Right now, yeah. I mean, we're healthcare is our niche.
okay, so healthcare. Have you seen we had conversations about this in the past, but it's like even before we started, even before Amazing Revenue was a thing, it's like how is that even possible that you have the same leads coming from the same sources and some
people are killing it and some aren't.
yeah
Yeah. I mean, sales, man.
yeah
It's really, I hate when I hear, oh, your leads are garbage.
right
I'm like, really?
yeah
I just listen to the calls and I listen to your people completely blow it on multiple calls.
Right.
Like why are 90% of the clients super happy with it, but you're complaining about it?
right
And that's, like you said, sales. I mean, we now in the healthcare space, we have consultants that work with us. So it's like, hey, we're going to go into, for instance, for like a drug and alcohol rehab. And it's like, hey, we're going to go in, we can absolutely generate all these calls for you. We have all these great sources, all these different options for you. How's your call center? It's like our first question now,
right
and that should be in any business, any line of business we go in.
yeah
And you hear, it's the first thing that they have an issue with.
right
So sales is a huge part of it,
okay.
as everybody knows.
And so it sounds like you're listening to the calls because you are open to the ideas that the leads may suck.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the beginning, any campaign, whether it's inbound or what we do for Amazing Revenue, like we're always making sure that the data is good or that the calls are good.
Right.
Because if they're bad, then that's our problem. It's our fault. And if we're not providing quality for our clients, then how can we sit there and blame it on them? Not that we're trying to blame it on anybody, but
you want them to be successful.
we want ourselves to be successful, and we need them to be successful for us to be successful.
Fair enough. So, that was a little bit of background as to Amazing Revenue, because I think that like it's important to establish like who and what it is and why we started working together and kind of the pieces of the puzzle, right? When we become a little bit more fancy, JD, I think that we throw something up on the screen and we have like a graphic or something like that where it's like, hey, this is what we're talking about, but you know what, we're just too many moving pieces right now, right?
There's just a couple of dads who happen to be entrepreneurs.
Right.
And we know a little bit about a few things.
So
a little bit about a little.
Yeah,
Right?
a little bit about. So I'll tell you where I start. I think our next story is like, how did we? So you had a business, I had a business. I called you because you're like, hey, why am I going to try to recreate? Like for me, IT. Like I know IT. I'm plugging along and I'm good at IT. But after once anybody starts a business, once you reach outside of your natural people who are going to buy from you, then you've got to figure out how to generate more leads. And, that's just not my forte. If your best friend's doing marketing, that's why I gave you a call, and
Yep.
that was to use your services. Right.
Yep.
And, for us, it was, that's how we first got engaged. But at that point in time, why did we not partner then?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, really, it was about the friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, hey, like, let's just keep our businesses siloed,
Right.
and our friendship stays safe. I mean,
Right.
you hear it all the time, the horror stories. Oh, I went into business with my best friend, and we hate each other now.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't like a whole, because it was like, if I'm going to go into business with you, and then like, did you use us?
For,
It's tell your experience prior to us having a business together. What was it like
what do you mean?
from LFG's perspective?
Hmm.
Did you use Amazing Tech at any point in time prior to
Yeah.
Amazing Revenue?
Yeah, you guys were developing like reporting systems for my agency.
Right, right. And yeah, just wanted to share a little bit of background as to like, at that point in time, I don't think it made sense for us to do business together because they were completely siloed. They're independent entities. Like,
And I
why
was a baby
complicate it?
then. I mean, LFG was a baby then too.
Right,
I
right,
mean, barely walking.
right. And we're
I
crawling.
didn't have much to offer. You had a lot more to offer than I did back then.
It's it was its own. It didn't necessarily make sense. So fast forward, a little bit. I'm doing some because I look at my own industry. We work with SaaS companies. I see the B2B process like work off. We've tried doing it independently a little bit on our own. Really became committed to making a difference, or you know what, we're going to. I personally was like, I'm going to die on a hill. We're on this. Well, I mean, it's like, you know what? I'm going to die trying. My business is going to die swinging with this, because at a certain point in time, you've got to start making some decisions if you want to grow or if you want to have a job. Because I could own a job, no problem.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to own a job. I wanted to own a business. Right.
Absolutely.
And something that like really kind of like has some sort of natural rampant growth in. And I was a firm believer in prospecting, but it was a lot of painful process, like figuring out what worked and what didn't work. And
I'm glad you went through it before we started working together, because I didn't have to feel all that pain.
well, it was.
Thank you.
Well, we kind of got beat. I mean, when we started, right? So we got. Well, you brought.
Actually, we got beat up pretty good in the beginning. Yeah, Amazing Revenue was certainly not a smashing success out of the gate. The vision was there, but we've learned a lot of painful lessons.
Right.
But it's created something pretty beautiful out of the whole thing.
Right. And where we signed it, the reason why we got started is because you brought a client to us, right?
Yep.
And a client was looking for
Sales team,
yeah,
because their sales sucks.
yeah.
They have a sales team that has great leads coming to them, and they are making so much money already that they just don't follow up on the leads, and like their just business isn't growing. They're like trying to double, triple their volume, and so we got brought on as a sales team, and we have done almost no selling.
Right.
They were supposed to have a prospecting business in place, and that whole piece was supposed to be put together. We were supposed to be fed these great warm leads.
And to pitch.
Yeah, and all we were supposed to do is pitch, which sounded fantastic. We could do that. And then Amazing Revenue was born.
Right.
We became prospectors.
Right. And prospecting for gold, man.
Got given axes and headed up the mountain.
You're right.
Been throwing chunks down ever since. Or trying to anyway.
Trying, yeah. Well, and it's been an interesting process, kind of growing together on it, and that's why it made sense for us to come in together on this adventure, right? Mm-hmm. In regards to, hey, you brought the client, you brought some offer, you brought an offer like mentality, because that's like, hey, if my bread and butter is anything, it's I know how people to craft something that's compelling for people to say, I'm going to give them 10 minutes of my time.
Yeah,
and that's
all you got to be able to do.
It's important, right?
You get them on that call, and I mean, if you're, like you said earlier, like if you have a great service and a great product and you're really good at that thing, you should just knock that call out of the park just by being authentic and presenting your products.
Right.
You don't even have to sell, or at least I don't feel like I'm selling when I'm on these discovery calls.
Right.
I'm just having a conversation and sharing experience, and then it just naturally turns into sales.
Right.
I'm not like, oh, let me, today only.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one.
Yeah, you want to, I agree with you. You want to have some sort of plan or incentivize or, things of that nature. But for the most part, the pitch is, especially from consulting standpoint, like, here's the numbers, we do a good job.
Yeah, I feel like people don't want to be pitched anymore. People are sick of the sales pitch. People are sick of the ads being jammed down their throats. They're sick of the pop-ups.
Right.
It's that's like that push marketing mentality. Like I'm starting to flip more towards that pull,
Yeah.
the attraction rather than promotion,
Right,
if
right.
you will.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, hey, like we're good at this and we can help you.
Yeah.
You have pain, we have solutions. Like, let's work together. I know with like your skills, my skills, like if we can get clients to come on with us
Yeah.
and just give us a month and they'll see how we work,
Right.
it's over.
Yeah, it's done.
Long-term
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah,
Done.
it's done,
Yeah.
because like we're passionate about the things that we like to do. Me, I'm a process builder. Like, it's like, hey, let's put something together. Now it's work. Now it's together. Let's let it run for a little bit. All right, what do we need to change in order to make it work a little bit better, right? And it's that's what kind of gets me going. I don't know. I get a lot of satisfaction by looking at being like, well,
Yeah,
that's
you do.
cool.
Yeah,
You know?
you definitely are the process guy. Thank God,
Yeah.
because I like the whole confluence and like building out all the SOPs in there. Like I never do that stuff.
Right,
But
right,
God, that's definitely made our lives easier.
right.
Me, I like to get people off the ground. I like to see a business take off.
Well, you
That's
get.
what gets me out of bed every day.
I mean, if the money hits the account, I don't really care. So.
Yeah,
Well,
fair enough.
Well, I mean, that's what makes a good partnership. I mean, that kind of leads into the crux of this, because we've been talking a little bit about the background, but like, why are we partners? And what makes a good partner? Well, let me ask you this: what makes a bad partner? What? Not necessarily bad. And it's not to bash somebody, but like, hey, I partnered with this person, this person, this person, and it didn't work out, and here's the reasons why. So give me a little bit of the rundown of the history.
Sure. I mean, I can tell you partners I've had in the past. I can't really say I've ever had bad partners. I mean, every partner that I had a relationship at the last place.
What do you mean bad? When we say bad partners, like bad morally or bad
I just think
intention,
bad altogether.
bad fit?
Like, I mean, the partners I've had, I've always learned from.
Yeah.
And they've always been really good at something that I wasn't good at.
Okay.
And I think that is I know, like, if you're looking to partner with somebody, you should definitely be looking for somebody that is not good at what you do. Like, they're really good at the opposite of what you do, or really good at something else. Because what's the point of having two of the same brains on a project or in a company? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that basically took all the. I've got to scramble for something to say now because that was exactly my answer. That the best partners, are the ones that really do a self-assessment, find out like where your strengths are and where your strengths are not, and where your business is good at, or where it's deficient at. And like, if you're looking at your business and you're saying, yo, we do everything great, then you're really shortchanging yourself, and it's not about like, hey, beating yourself up, but it's, looking at it, even if you're adequate at something, it doesn't mean you're good at it. You want someone who's going to excel in the advantage of taking it to the next level.
Well, I think when you and I got started too, you were like, hey, I hate this stuff. I hate the marketing piece. I hate the ad copy piece. I hate the landing page. Like, that stuff makes me want to throw up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I can't.
Say less. I got you.
I was like, I don't like. Here's a couple things. I don't do the admin stuff. Like, I definitely am not. I don't want to do the books.
Yeah, that's right. You don't like the
I
accounting.
don't want to. I don't want to do content. Period. Like, I will do.
I love that stuff.
I'll be a little flexible on other things, but like, those are two things that I absolutely am not going to do for this. Are you willing to do
Yeah,
it?
I have my process in place for all that, so it's easy to me. Just like with what you do,
Right.
You have your process, and to me, it seems super complicated. So
I still don't know what I'm doing. So you get lost in the sauce, right?
yeah,
But
yeah. I think with partners though, knowing it's kind of like when I interview people. Like,
Right.
one of the questions I ask, is like, what's your favorite type of work to do? What's your least favorite type? Like, what do you hate doing? And just get an understanding. And then, I mean, with partners too, man, there's gotta be it's almost like having a family member.
right.
And you gotta have some serious trust. And, and like, I had a couple of partners in a bit, like one of the first businesses I was in was like a lead gen business. And those guys were awesome. I mean, we had our differences or whatever, but we all ended on good terms. And We were all good at something different, and I learned so much from them. And I think if you can have an opportunity, especially when you're getting started in the professional world and trying to figure out like which direction you want to go, like if you can find people to work with, or one or two people to partner with that can help you grow even more. I mean, a partnership doesn't have to be a forever thing.
Right.
I mean, if it is, fantastic. That means you're crushing. But if you can learn from somebody, I feel like that's more valuable than any kind of financial gain you can get, is knowledge.
Agreed.
In the business world. Because when I first got started, I didn't know how to like balance an accounting ledger.
Right.
Not that I want to do that forever, but like I didn't know how to set up an LLC.
Right.
Like this is stuff that was shown to me.
Right.
Well, now it's so super easy. I'm able to show other people. It's like, It's like easy stuff, but that's the kind of stuff you look
foundational
for.
Stuff. It's stuff that like really you don't learn some things until you get like a little bit down the road. Especially for it's like when you said you're getting your legs underneath you. It's how many times do we say it's like, hey, all right, let me know when you're going to own a job, and it's like, but it's you're like, hey, I'm a PPC guy, because you're a phenomenal PPC guy.
Thank you.
Right, but it's you, and then it's like you started doing it, and it's like, all right, well, I also got to sell this thing too.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's other aspects of it, and then there's only so much time in the day.
It's true. I know that more and more now.
Right.
It's crazy. So
yeah, no, for me, partnerships, I've had a couple different people kind of come and go. And
who were you partners with in the past?
VJ.
VJ.
VJ ended up, he ran out of bandwidth, and honestly, it was probably VJ's a mutual friend of ours, and he was always a good. You ended up initially partnering with him because we had. I
forgot about that.
He was good at professional. I'd worked with him professionally in the past.
Great sales guy too.
Yeah, and he was
very good on the phone.
He was very good at like getting through and just handling stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't work out because part of a business requires the time and effort and dedication and a commitment, and if you aren't able to meet those things, then there's going to be a slight disevaluation in regards to it. So and
that's a problem a lot of people run into too, because they want to get into business, they want to start, but you got to also like stay at the place you're at and continue to make money to pay the bills and put food on the table. And it gets kind of, and we could probably talk about that another time, like making that
the transition.
That jumping off point is super scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
You pull the trigger too soon and then it fails and you're like, go like crawling back to your job. But at some point you got to, I think it'd be a good topic for another time.
Yeah, a topic for another day. But he ended up leaving. We bought him out, and then it was left with me and my other partner, Dylan. So Dylan was basically from an IT perspective. I was great at developing, I was great at like engineering, and being an IT guy, I've been in the business for a long time, so I was good at consulting. Mm-hmm. He was great on a development standpoint, and developers, especially at the SMB level or the small to mid-market businesses, like, a lot of times they're looking for developers who can really change a business, right? They can change 100%. They can change, the things that are good to them, or what they understand about their business. They can really take them it separates them from the competition, right?
It really does.
And he was and still is a freaking prodigy, right?
Yeah, I remember you telling me how bright he was.
There's it's in IT world, he's one of the 1%ers, to me, is like a developer where, it takes some people 80 hours to get something done. He's like, comes back and has it done the next day. He's like, oh, it's done. Like, what do you mean it's done?
Living on Red Bull.
Right. Well, it's a young pup. I mean, he was like 23 when. Well, I mean, look. I mean, he was 23 when I opened. He was a minority owner of Bulldog at that time, which is the LLC, right?
Yep.
And he actually graduated out. He left, and he graduated out of business with me because he got a job offer so compelling I couldn't meet it. So he's like, look, man, I'm going to be working at one of the largest private companies in America. He's going to be making a large salary, right? And but that wasn't even the biggest thing. His benefits were being matched. So
Hard to beat
and it
that.
was he was going to be a multimillionaire by his if he just like took advantage of his stuff. And like I'm not going to get into his finances too much, but he's going to be worth a lot of money by the time he's not even close to retirement, just by doing his job. And so it's like, hey man,
Hard
this
to beat.
came along. It's a 40-hour work week. I don't have the stress of being an entrepreneur, and that jumping off point. Because I think the jumping off point, that's a first of many, right?
Yeah,
You
it
make
really
that
is.
jump. You make that jump, but it's all about like,
Yeah, the next jump is hiring.
yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big, yeah,
Yeah, then it's putting somebody in your position,
right.
handing over the keys of what you're really good at, and then entrusting that into somebody else, which is really what, like for me, that was really hard. Like I just have recently hired a PPC person,
Right,
and it's very, very hard for me right now
right,
to
right,
let that go because
Right.
that's what it was built on.
right, right.
So that's a big jumping off point for me. Now, and you've done the same. You've already done it, so you've been through it.
I'm a big fan of delegation.
Yeah, I know you are. You're the one that actually pushed me into it. I figured I was just going to do PPC for the rest of my life.
Right. Well, I
was
mean,
small picture thinking.
well, you learn these things after you kind of like gone along. Like, what's more important to you? I mean, at some point in time, something is more like time is more valuable to you than money. And it depends. There's a break-even point. It depends on your revenue. It depends on what you're doing. So,
Yeah,
like, if you're worth $800 an hour and you can be paying, and you're doing PPC work that you can pay somebody, a fraction of that to do, right? What's more valuable to pay the damn money?
yeah,
Even if they're at 75% of the what you are, measure them, give them something to shoot for, and have them improve it.
Yeah.
And if they don't work out, flip it out, because that once you start delegating stuff like that, you free up large chunks of your
I
time.
mean, she's been with us for a couple weeks, and she's helped me tremendously already.
She's better than you. Just say it.
She might.
Just say it.
She might be. Well,
No,
time
no.
will tell.
Hey, you know what? That
But it's also good to have somebody else, like, in my organization that does what I do, that I can bounce stuff off of.
Right.
Because you get, especially as a business owner, and this isn't in anything, like you get stuck on an island sometimes, and you have nobody else to, like, there's nobody above you. There's nobody for you to bounce this stuff off of, unless you're in like mastermind. Oh, sorry, unless you're in mastermind groups or like some of the stuff that you do.
Yeah.
But for me, I get, it's great to like have somebody to call now and be like, hey, like check out this account. What do you think?
That's one of the reasons why I joined one is because I really do understand my own limitations, and even if I sit there and talk to a fellow entrepreneur, somebody who isn't in the industry on a specific topic, me asking them questions and be like, well, what do you think I should do? Because really, there is no right answer there,
Right.
because you don't really know. Being an entrepreneur is all about risk management.
That's why it's so fun.
Right. It's so sweet when it like works, and it is so scary and defeating whenever you have some bad days too.
Oh yeah, you have a lot of bad days.
Yeah.
You have a lot of great days too.
Yeah. I mean,
Beats working for somebody though.
I can.
Well, for me, that's not for everybody.
Yeah. And it's that brings up a good point, because I'm kind of the same. I would say that like I would be difficult to manage.
Yeah, I'd say that. That's a fair assessment.
He goes, yeah.
I mean, partner. Yeah, no, actually, I don't have issues with you.
No, well,
Not anymore.
it's all about figuring. It's about finding
About boundaries.
Well, it is. It's about understanding and defining those real well. And it's having a little bit of mutual respect, and somebody who really kind of looks at themselves and be like, hey, what is my part in? Where am I at? Right?
Yeah.
Because there's a social contract that is written. Like, you can put together the best damn like legal document that basically sets all this stuff out. Like, if it doesn't work out, but in reality, we want it to work.
Yeah, hell
Like, we
yeah.
don't want to plan for it to fail. So like, how do you, for me, it's just like you being one of my good friends and me knowing you as a person or as an individual. it made the decision of working with you a little bit. And it also helps me to be in perspective, be like, look, man, you're out of line there. You're out of touch, or, hey, this is deficient here, or you need to change something there. Be like, all right, well, this individual that I respect, and I've chosen to partner with is telling me something that I am unable to see for myself, which is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
And it's finding a partner that where you can have that discussion, really set responsibilities and delegating, hey, we're going to do this, 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 and having the faith that they're going to be able to deliver on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we both work super hard, so at least we don't have to worry about one or the other slacking.
Right.
I mean, you might be driving me into the ground a little bit from time to time.
There's no doubt.
But I'm also grateful for. I need someone to push me sometimes to like get out of my comfort zone and do new stuff.
Well, we're also building too.
Yeah,
we're at a very, very crazy period. I mean, it was less than 6 months ago. We were building together this whole data process, right? And we were individually doing it ourselves. Now we have a team doing it, right?
Yep.
We have, we've got this there's a lot of things that you set up and you kind of develop the process, and then you just start delegating that off, and now you no longer have to worry about it. It's just a large.
Yeah, the data's delegated. Now we have salespeople. We're hiring now more people.
Yeah, the figuring out the scripting, figuring out LinkedIn automation, figuring out email automation, figuring out how we're going to reports and metrics and
CRM building.
Yeah, all that kind of
it all.
Yeah, it's all kind of that's a crap ton of work.
It's cool.
Yeah, actually. A lot of companies, that's what they do, and that's what they do. One thing well, and that's what I loved about going to the convention. We're at LeadCon, and we see a bunch of these lead generation companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at some of the stuff we're doing. And I look back at the stuff they're doing.
We're not that far off.
No, but we also just respectfully. I'm not just pitching. We kick the shit out of them. In regards to the product, the level of reporting, the level of dedication, the channels that we're doing it. We do every single channel better than the top competitor, which is crazy to me.
There's some really good companies out there, though.
There's some good companies.
There's some really good ones.
There's some really good ones. I'm just very confident in some of the stuff and the processes that we put into place. Because at least, and I'm not saying that nobody's capable of doing everything that we do, because we're not. We're not infallible, and we haven't I haven't created something out of nothing. It's just a process, right? But we do the small things well.
Yeah, agreed. And it's those little things that add up.
Yeah, well, it's a difference.
Well, anybody can send emails. Anybody can send LinkedIn automation. Anybody can cold call.
Yeah. It's, who's doing it well, who's doing it with a purpose, and how effective is that, And I know that, I look at what we're doing, I'm like, damn, all right, we're going somewhere. This is going to do something.
Well, it's all about the people in your organization, too.
Right.
If you have all the right people and everybody's on board with the mission, it makes life way easier, and it makes your product superior.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of that is just how you treat people as a business owner. I mean, you and I have been in some businesses where we've been treated like crap. And I don't know about you, but for me, that's been a huge motivator on how I want to build a team and how I want them to feel, and how I want them to be on board with the mission, because they believe in the leader, they believe in the company, not because they're scared to lose their job or scared to lose that income.
Right. And
it's a big difference.
That's one of the big values that you bring to the, our organization, because, and it, joking or not or whatever, my management skills, I don't like managing. And I'm not.
That's okay.
I'm not an effective communicator. My ex-wife will tell you. She'll be like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah, and she's right. Yeah, she is right.
No, but it is all about culture, because I tend to be very blunt. It's not that I take personal shots at anybody, but I tend to be very blunt, and it's like, hey.
That's not a bad thing, though, too.
It works for some
around the edges.
Right. It works for some people, and it doesn't work for other people. Yeah. But you give me it's nice, because I have somebody who is completely different in a management style, right? Mm-hmm. And I would call him the mayor, right? So if you ever get on, if you're Jonathan Daniele, by the way, if you ever are happen to get on an elevator with him and you're riding an elevator and it stops on another floor and someone else gets on, every single time. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm like that.
No,
Just,
you're the mayor. It's just a different, like,
you know,
it's like, let me just enjoy
I'm
this.
out there kissing babies and shaking hands. You
All
know what I
right,
mean?
you know.
You're welcome.
That's good. That's good. He's the face. He's definitely the face of the org. But you know, it's different, like manager styles, because it is culture. Because it's not because of a lack of care from my perspective. I just have to be more intentional in how I communicate. Because if not, it can come out a specific sort of way.
But that also goes back to partners. You're really, really, really good at the developing side and the process side, which is super, super important in a business.
Right.
And we can't be good at everything.
Right. So bottom line, if my final answer, you know, it's good because we're coming up at the end of this episode, right? And my final answer is ding. You know, have some sort of like perspective on it. You know, before you take on a partner, you know, we kind of cheated too, because like, in fairness, if you're starting a business and you're finding a partner, it's hard to know how the partner's going to be if they've never been an entrepreneur. They've never been an entrepreneur.
People change when there's money involved.
Yeah, people change when there's money involved. People, especially if they have never owned a business or never been a part of a business, if you do not know or do
never
not
made any kind of real money,
never made any sort of real money or any understanding of it, or you know, think that it's, you know, it's a challenge, you know, and it's not saying that like we're 100 millionaires or anything like that, but we've done well enough to establish core businesses, and then we came together and started another business. So I knew at a base level, you knew what a business was about or how it was to be in it.
I got something. So to wrap it up, what's one word or one thing or one trait, or just if you had one word to describe what you would want in a partner, what would that be? Just one word. It's all you get.
Integrity.
Damn, that's a good one. That's a good one. I honestly, for fear of being unoriginal, I think that is probably the answer I would say.
So let me give you another one. I would say hustle or ambition.
Yeah, but hustle. There's a lot of hustlers out there.
Yeah, I don't want to use the word. I don't want to use the word hustle. Let me rephrase that. Let's say, what's the
You said integrity, man. You just put the stamp on that. You don't even need to say anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's integrity, ingenuity. You know, something that who's creative, who brings something to it, and also, but a one-word answer is tough for one word because it's great to have good ideas, but if you do not have the willingness or the capability of delivering,
I'm not saying you like that's the only.
Yeah, no,
I'm trying to do something fun here.
No, it is. It is fun.
or interesting, I should say.
No, I like it. No, I agree. Integrity. I also think that, like, I was trying to think of a word that kind of encompassed being able to both be, ingenuity, but also be able to deliver on it as well. Yeah. And it's tough. You know, I don't know if one word, but if I had to settle on one, it's.
Well, since you took integrity,
okay,
I'm gonna go with creativity.
Great.
And I'll tell you why I say that, because I sometimes strongly lack, I'm great at like creating ad copy, great at like being creative there. But when it comes to advancing businesses or growing or going into different sectors, I oftentimes lack the creativity for that.
Right.
And it's one of the things I'm very grateful about with you, because your creativity has really forged amazing talent and amazing revenue.
Appreciate it, man.
I mean, if it wasn't for you pushing that, I would have just settled that like, hey, this is where we're at now, and we'll just grow this out, and we'll grow it like crazy.
Right.
But but because you're diversifying,
right,
you're giving us other opportunities for downsells and upsells. Which,
right.
Amen, man.
Grateful for that. Love big that. Deal. Well, I mean, you're helping me deliver on it because, hey, I can have that communications, have the relationships, and that's what kind of I was missing is. Somehow money hits my bank account, love that, but in all aspect, you need somebody who's like, hey, this is what somebody is going to buy. Mm-hmm. They not buying. I see what you're doing. They're not going to buy that. You got to give them this.
Yeah.
So no, give them this, and if once they have a little bit of faith, then then expand it more.
Yep.
Because faith is something that's built.
You got to break bread.
Right.
Yep.
And it's, helping us quantify that and helping us say and deliver and say, get on the call, talk to us. We'll help build your business.
Yep.
At this rate, give us a chance. Boom. That's all. I mean, that's that's good.
Yeah.
Because I'll overtalk it. See, I won't shut up then.
Yeah.
Yeah, give them a chance to say yes or no, right? So,
he who talks first loses.
is that?
That's a thing.
That's a Genghis Khan proverb.
Is it really?
No.
Oh. I was like, really?
That's an ancient Chinese proverb, right?
Confucius say, "Men who speak first get sock in mouth."
Well, listen, guys, thank you again for coming on and enjoying and spending a little bit of time with us. I see you, Christian. We're at the Amazing Podcast Junkies studio down here in Boca Raton. If you've never seen them, we're going to give them a plug. We'll drop a link in the show notes below.
They're awesome. We love them.
Yeah, once again,
Christian's the man.
Yeah, much love, much love. I don't think that's how it goes.
You guys gonna go listen to Taylor Swift after this together?
You know what? Maybe. 2024.
The timer's at 0. We gotta go, man.
All right, brother. Well, listen. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll see you guys again next week. Until then, let's let that revenue line climb. Woo! Let's go.
Have a good week.